John Locke (1632–1704) was a prominent English philosopher and physician. His influential work, The Treatises of Government 1690, laid the groundwork for modern political philosophy. Locke advocated for natural rights, including life, liberty, and property, asserting that government's role is to protect these rights with the consent of the governed. His ideas profoundly influenced democratic principles and Enlightenment thinking, impacting revolutions and shaping modern political thought. In an essay concerning human understanding, Locke explored epistemology, arguing for a blank slate theory of the mind, where knowledge is derived from experience. His contributions continue to be integral to the development of liberal thought and democratic governance. No man's knowledge can go beyond his experience. Education begins the gentleman, but reading, good company, and reflection must finish him. The only defense against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. Wherever law ends, tyranny begins. All mankind, being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. Reading furnishes the mind only with materials of knowledge. It is thinking that makes what we read us. The actions of men are the best interpreters of their thoughts. New opinions are always suspected, and usually opposed without any other reason but because they are not already common. The improvement of understanding is for two ends. First, our own increase of knowledge. Secondly, to enable us to deliver that knowledge to others. Government has no other end than the preservation of property. The dread of evil is a much more forcible principle of human actions than the prospect of good. The great question which, in all ages, has disturbed mankind, and brought on them the greatest part of their mischief so has been, not whether be power in the world, nor whence it came, but who should have it. To love truth for truth's sake is the principal part of human perfection in this world, and the seed plot of all other virtues. The discipline of desire is the background of character. Parents wonder why the streams are bitter, when they themselves have poisoned the fountain. The state of nature has a law of nature to govern it, which obliges everyone, and reason, which is that law, teaches all mankind, who will but consult it, that being all equal and independent, no one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. I have always thought the actions of men the best interpreters of their thoughts. The only fence against the world is a thorough knowledge of it. To prejudge other men's notions before we have looked into them is not to show their darkness, but to put out our own eyes. Our incomes are like our shoes. If too small, they gall and pinch us, but if too large, they cause us to stumble and to trip. The visible mark of extraordinary wisdom and power appears so plainly in all the works of creation. Reverie is when ideas float in our mind without reflection or regard of the understanding. The end of law is not to abolish or restrain, but to preserve and enlarge freedom. It is easier for a tutor to command than to teach. The necessity of pursuing true happiness is the foundation of liberty. Fortitude is the guard and support of the other virtues. It is one thing to show a man that he is in error, and another to put him in possession of the truth. No man's knowledge here can go beyond his experience. The mind is not like a tabula rasa or blank slate at birth. Instead, it comes equipped with innate ideas, such as the concepts of God, space, and time. The chief value of books is not the information they contain, but the questions they raise, Reading is not for one's own amusement, but for the improvement of the mind. No one ought to harm another in his life, health, liberty, or possessions. The foundation of government is the consent of the governed. The power of the magistrate extends only to civil concerns. What worries you, masters you? The Bible is one of the greatest blessings bestowed by God on the children of men. It has God for its author, salvation for its end, and truth without any mixture for its matter. It is all pure. The true liberty of conscience requires that the doors of salvation be open in common to all. No one should be forced to believe in anything they do not understand. Faith is not based on reason alone, but on experience and revelation. The goal of religion is to bring people closer to God. Happiness is not something that comes to us from outside, but something we create within ourselves. The best way to predict the future is to create it. The only way to learn is to do. Never give up on your dreams. The only true knowledge is that which we create for ourselves. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. No one can teach another anything. He can only make him learn for himself. The end of education is not to make man perfect, but to make him capable of perfecting himself. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance. It is the illusion of knowledge. Government is not a machine, but a living organism. The power of the purse is the power of the sword. No man is fit to be a magistrate who cannot bear to be told of his errors. The best form of government is that which is most like nature. The only way to preserve liberty is to be vigilant in its defense. No man can be truly free unless he is free to make his own mistakes. The only way to fight intolerance is with tolerance. The price of freedom, eternal vigilance. The only limitation on liberty is the right of others to equal liberty. The only way to ensure liberty is to guarantee equality. No one should be forced to worship God in a way that violates their conscience. The true test of religion is not its dogma, but its fruits. Faith without works is dead. The goal of religion is not to make people happy, but to make them righteous. The only way to know God is to love Him. Happiness is not a destination, but a journey. The only way to find meaning in life is to create it for yourself. The only way to overcome fear is to face it. The only way to fail is to give up. The only way to succeed is to never give up. The only way to be truly free is to be free from the fear of death. The only way to know love is to give it. The only way to find peace is to let go of the past. The only way to change the world is to change yourself. The only way to live is to love. Be kind to others, for they may be struggling too. Be honest with yourself and with others. Be courageous in the face of adversity. Be forgiving of others, as you would want them to be forgiving of you. Be grateful for what you have. Be humble in your success. Be patient with yourself and with others. Be perseverant in the face of setbacks. Be respectful of others, even when they don't deserve it. Be responsible for your own actions. If you like our effort, please like and subscribe this channel to support me.